right, a beautiful day wherever you're watching us. Welcome and thank you so much for being a part of this beautiful episode of the show, Spotlight Talk Show. Like you know, on every episode of this program, we bring to you trends, lifestyle, politics, arts, culture, things that are trending in the community. And of course, most times we bring people that are pace setters in their field to shed light on contemporary issues. On this beautiful episode of the Spotlight, I am having a guest who we shall be discussing together the clash, the drawing point, the line, the intersection between culture and arts, and it's in relation to a contemporary beautiful movie piece titled Gangs of Lagos, produced in Nigeria, West Africa. Now, don't forget, my name is Akim, and I always implore people whenever you're joining us, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. It's good for you. On this edition, we will be trying to do justice with my guest. We want to look at the trend. There have been a lot of controversies around the beautiful cinematic piece titled Gang of Lagos. And we want to talk about it. We want to evaluate it, look at it from the artistic perspective, then we look at it from the cultural perspective, and we'll try to understand the basis of the crisis between the people, the host tradition that was represented in the movie and their arguments. Then we will just try to balance it. We are not going to be judging, and neither are we on any sides. My guest is a notable Nigerian film producer, a director of repute, and he's no other person than Platinum. You get a meeting in a minute, and I'll be right back. Don't go nowhere. Stay tuned and keep watching the program. We'll be back. All right, welcome back, everyone. Still Spotlight Talk Show, and like you can see, I've got my guest with me live in the studio. He is, of course, reporting from a very far province from where we are in Ontario. Hi, Bobo Olo, you're welcome, and thanks for joining us.
Hello, hi everyone.
All right, so let's cut to the chase. Chief Platinum, a lot of people call you Bobo Loye. Yes. We want our audience to meet you. I know you personally as a film maker of repute, a director, and of course a producer, and interestingly, an outstanding actor. But for people who don't know you, can you just tell us? We want to meet you. Who is Bobo Oloye?
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. My name is Olayemi Adeodu. I go by the name Boboloe, and like like you said, I'm a film director. I'm an actor and a producer. Um, right now, I reside in the uh, city of Sydney in Nova Scotia.
All right, thank you so much. And for those of you that have got to meet my guest, which is a beautiful one, because I selected this guest because I feel he is somebody who understands the arts as a practitioner, a thespian, and somebody who, before he became a Nigerian Canadian, of course, he lived in Lagos. So let's start from the movie. I want to ask you, Boboloye, I'm sure you've watched Gang of Lagos. A lot of talks has been around it. The first question I have for you is, how would you rate that movie in terms of being a movie director from that angle? How would
It's
you rate it?
it's a very beautiful piece. You can't take that away from that, but I'm not surprised. Daddy has always been wonderful, and if the cast and crew you respect as good as that piece is from them, it's a very wonderful piece. It's something that we are all proud of. Yeah.
All right. Well, for my own end as well, I'm going to corroborate that point that I loved the beautiful masterpiece put together by, our brilliant, guys over there. And for people who have not watched this movie, well, this could be a kind of promo for the movie. It's on Prime Videos. I love beautiful things. So when you see a beautiful thing, I would say we are always proud to be affiliated and attached to it. For people who have not seen the film, my guest, I want to indulge you to just give me some few seconds. I want to play the montage, the trailer of the movie, and let people see the movie. Then we're going to come back and start talking about it. That we want to know. We're going to talk about the line where it actually had issues with the culture and the traditional people. But before then, let's watch this, and we'll be right back.
Who decides where we are born, the life we have? Saleko is the jungle. Everyone does what they must to survive.
Power. 1,000,001 people willing to die for a cause they know absolutely nothing about. Let's go.
I got my man ready. All right, welcome back wherever you're watching us. It's still the Spotlight Talk Show with my special guest on this special edition where we are reviewing technically and look following the trend of controversy that has trailed this beautiful masterpiece you just watched the trailer. So my guest, now I want to ask you a question. When you watched that film, as a film director, as a producer, I want to ask you, at what point would you say the producers actually crossed a line with the traditional people of Lagos, especially the your custodians, for them reacting in the way they've reacted? Because a lot of, trends, a lot of talks and trends have actually trailed this new movie, that it should be pulled down, that it is wrongly represented them. I want to ask you, at what point do you think these people crossed the boundaries? If you agree that they actually crossed the boundaries?
Well, if I believe that that should be like a fiction, like it's a work of a creative mind, and but I think what should have been done there is that there should have been consultations. I remember when 50 Cent was trying to make a movie and he wanted to use the name Things Fall Apart. He spoke with the author, and I want to use this name, and he said no. And I feel like, we have to always make a few consultations, because now for me, I feel like there is nothing wrong in showing our culture and telling our stories. Let the world see the difference between when we project outside and when we project inside. But the point is, there should have been consultations, because uh, you're sacred to the people of Lagos. It's very sacred, and Eyo is used to usher out kings and very important dignitaries and stuff like that. And I think that if they had sat down with a few people, maybe like there would have been a way around it. And now, um, if you it's name by name, and everything. It feels like it feels like you are telling a story of what is actually happening, and which I don't think that's what is really happening. And you can't take it away from. It's a beautiful movie. But I feel like there should be a balance, maybe, because we make consultations. Um, we to gain more information about stuff, we need to talk to people and say, what can we do this? Can we not do this? Because if you look at the things, there are a lot of stuff, that like with the AO, there are a lot of stuff that should not happen. You should not, there's no bicycle, there's no Okada and stuff like that. Like all these things, we need to address it and talk about it. And that is if you sit down with custodians of that uh, AO, is when you will be able to say, okay, and there won't be this backlash if they are done that.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that brilliant submission. For you, you're saying a pre-consultation, because I want to specify like pre-consultation at the point of putting, the story together. There should have been consultations here and there. Now, for me again, I'm going to ask through these at you that um now the movie is already out, and in that movie I remember there actually there was a part of the script that was that said the moment Ayo came out, it was in honor of a respected person who passed on. I can't remember the name of that character. Now, I feel before they would have mentioned that, that means they also had done some researches in terms of consultation. Would you say that's why I'm really asking, like, at what points in the story do you think they actually crossed the line? Because from what you said is Ayo comes out to usher kings and people of very paramount importance, and in that drama, which is a fiction, you actually came out then. But at what point did you actually, would you say, in the message that it crossed the lines, like, with the traditional institutions?
Yeah, like the fact that AO had to like the actor had to go in with a costume to kill somebody. It says a lot about um, the old festival not being organized, not knowing who is who, and everybody can just go there and put on the costume and do whatever they like. So I feel like at that point, you if you want to portray a culture, because we are trying to savage, we're trying to savage our culture. We're trying to see this is who we are, and then putting it on on putting out a negative leg, putting out a negative leg should did not do a lot to what people want to see about it. People do well in Brazil, and we are proud of that. And I think that that's one thing, like using the costume to like for killing purposes and everything. It says a lot about it. Because for we watch movies where people wear dress like pastors and everything to do whatever, and we don't see this kind of backlashes like that, because they say, okay, we don't mean every pastors, we don't mean every imam, but the point is, Eyo is singular to Lagos, and everything and the setting of that movie is in Lagos. So it's just like you're telling a story that this is what is happening, this is what the people do, this is what they use Eyo for. So that is where I think that the line was crossed.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You nailed it. You nailed it. You nailed it. Now, Shift Platinum, Bobolo, let's go back to the area of creativity. And where as a director, there were a lot of things I watched in that movie that I was really inspired. Also, as a director, I would say, from the post production, the quality of the picture, the action, the stunts, the choreography, the whole fight, it was for me, it was a masterpiece in terms of Nigeria. When I watched all those choreographies, the choreographies of the fights and everything, I give them like a 9/10. I was really proud of, oh, this is a Nigerian film filled with stunts and everything. From your angle, how would you describe it? Like, we want to begin to go into the movie itself now. Apart from the traditional crisis, we're going to come back to that. Look at the technicalities. What are your reviews? What would you say about the producer, the director, the characters? Like, what's your reception towards it?
Well, like I've sat with you and some other people here in Canada, and I have said that what the next thing we are going to be importing is our movies. We are doing well with our music, and the next thing the world is sorry, the next thing we're going to be exporting is our movies, because the world is can are not getting enough of what we can offer, and I'm very very proud that we that is typically something that uh, came out of uh, the trenches, like some people will say, like it's like a trenches settings, and it was well balanced. It's beautiful, and um, I'm very, very proud of it. I think, well, I don't expect less from the cast and crew of 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 that movie. So I am not surprised because the likes of Jade have always done that very wonderful thing, and we're aspiring to be able to do things like that to push our to tell our own stories in a way like I people do say that, oh, why are you making action films? They do People don't want to see action films because they see it every time. But this is an action film, but it's being told from what can actually happen in the street of Lagos. It's possible.
Yeah.
So uh, it's 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 a very good thing. I'm very, very proud of that. I'm proud to be a Nigerian.
Thank you so much. Now that takes us to the next question. Like, do you think Gangs of Lagos actually says the story of Lagos? Is that the story of Lagos?
Oh no, well, like I said earlier, it's fiction. It's a work of a creative mind. Like when you sit down, you see things and say, yeah, this is possible, this is possible, this is possible. But like if you break it down, the elements, like, will it happen in Lagos? Yes, it will happen. Will there be street fighting in Lagos? Yes, it is possible. Um, will there be a lot of politicking going on? Um, that can happen everywhere. And but is too where I what I really don't go with is that reducing it down name for name is Aleko and this and that and that. And it's simply like you are telling a story of something that's really, really happened, and some people, are saying that, oh yeah, 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 that's what is happening in Lagos and all that. But that's a possibility, something that can happen. But I will not say that I've seen anything like that happening to my own knowledge. So I feel like they should always make sure that people understand that this is just a work of creative mind.
Okay, thank you so much. We're something minutes into the show, and it's still the Spotlight Talk Show. I'm your host Akeem, and my guest is Bobo Oloye, all the way from Nova Scotia, a Nigerian Canadian filmmaker, producer, actor, and director. Now, I want to ask a question. You have stayed in Lagos, or are you a Lagosian? And if yes, could you tell us about the Ayo? I know you just made mention of something. This is another culture, just like you mentioned. We begin to export outside, our own good values, our traditions, our arts. So, would you say, would you tell us about Ayo itself, or what you know about the custodian, and like in the general scene? Some people might not really know, they might not really know about Ayo, but here we have one of our works of art brought out Ayo, but maybe in the negative light, and the people are kicking back. So, could you walk us through your own opinion around that?
Well, my mom is from Lagos. I was a Lagosian until I realized for a long time that I said, okay, you know what, I'm from Ogun State and I'll be from Ogun State. Uh, uh, like I said earlier, the Ayo comes out at very for very important reasons, mostly to usher out a very important dignitaries, basically a king. And there are legends of Ayo being like from Ikperu and everything. But like at this time, this has a very touchy that's a very touchy subject. So I'm trying to restrain from uh, putting out anything that is not too palatable with the tension going on around the Ayo thing right now. But the point is that we know that Ayo is very important to Lagosians, and people you respect the fact that, oh, Ayo is out, and there are things you cannot do, like the bicycle. There should be no bicycle riding. Women cannot have a particular hairstyle like the shuku, and even no red coverings or scarf or anything. So all those kind of things, like it's not just like, like, because we have Egungun, we have Agemon, we have all sort of other deities that people people respect in Lagos and stuff like that. But Eyo is very, very important and to Lagos, and it's very important that we showcase it in the showcase it the way it is, because we have never had any incidents of using Eyo to because like now I say that, look at the masquerade, for instance. We have seen instances where people will fight the masquerade and everything. You cannot do that with Eyo. You cannot. It's very, very respectable. People will fight. The Russians will fight you with their last blood with Eyo. So I think, yeah, that's what I'm going to just say about it for now.
All right, thank you so much. And at this point, I want us to, for people who are just joining us, or people who have not even watched the film, Wabolo, let's give them an opportunity of say 2-3 minutes to watch one of the very beautiful scenes from, from that project. Then we're going to come back and continue. We're still going to talk more. We want to know, like, as a filmmaker, in terms of consultation, what would you be your guide? Then we would also want to still know before you leave on this program. The deed has been done. The project is out. Fortunately, the governing agencies and parastatals in Nigeria are able to control to some extent. They can't ban it. They can't pull it down from Amazon Prime because it's an online platform. Now, and the movie keeps, gathering momentum. What would still want to share from your own word of experience? Like at this point, what would you, advise in your own angle? But before then, like I said, let's take a very short break and we want to watch a piece of that movie. When we come back. All right, it's still the Spotlight Talk Show, and I'm back again with my guest. So I think this is exactly what you were talking about. Now, before I go to my last two questions, I understand that, for example, Christian in the Christendom, we have people who have acted the role of Jesus Christ, and all over the world, even the image of the person who acted Jesus Christ is exactly like the picture of that mental imagery that we have for Jesus Christ. Now, the Muslims, they've not really acted any movie whereby there is one man whose face can be matched with um Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, I'm making these analogies because I think people just want to keep some things sacred. They don't want it to be diffused. And I'm going to share my experience with you in Canada here in Toronto. We've had events that has to do with the Lagos community whereby they had to go back to Nigeria to take permission. We want to take the AO out here. We are doing something big. And the custodian said, no, we can't carry AO here. So now, when you look at this trend, I think even before it got to this point, the custodians of AO have been on top of managing and curtailing the excesses to ensure that Eyo is not just seen as an ordinary masquerade, but a sacred deity, a sacred tradition that belongs to some people. Now, with this analysis, what do you think that um, what do you think about the fight the people are carrying, the custodians of Eyo? What do you think about the fight they are waging towards the producers of this movie?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's good we if there had been that pre-consultation, there would have been a lot of advice going their way. Like if you watch that particular scene, you can see that the ladies were in the rest cars and everything, and which is one of those things that should not happen because on a good day, they say your people will attack people. No, they are going to beat anybody who go against some particular things. And if there have been that consultation, there will be a balance and say this is what you can do, this is what you cannot do, so that we should be able to project our own because a lot of people are coming back to African religion, and because there's no way we are going to um, exhibit our culture without a bit of the religion, because our religion is embedded in the culture. So that is still what need to have been done, so that there will be um, pre-consultation and say this is how we want it. This is how we want it, because it can eat up the polity in a way that um, imagine if we I don't want to go let's not go take the religious way, but it's it would have been a whole lot better. It would
Okay,
have been better
but
because it's good to showcase what we have. Like
yeah,
I'm always I'm the one to see the showcase of less people know that, because it's an OSHA, So there has to be, and when the costume is out, that is the OSHA. So there has to be a little respect and a little um, consultation on what should be done and what should not be done.
okay. I wanted to rest that way. But when you were talking, I was just thinking about it, just like you mentioned from the onset. They're talking about the story of Lagos. That was an Owambe setting with a lot of people, and this movie was shot in Lagos. Those costumes were purchased somewhere. There are a lot of things like. I want to believe one of the objective of this program is, to speak on the truth, like check it in such a way that it doesn't reoccur again. Now, with a lot of litigations against the producers of this beautiful masterpiece, I imagine if they had removed Ayo from it, and just put any other thing to pass that message across. This movie, it's something we should, we could
I
put.
feel like there is nothing bad in showcasing the Ayo, but if they have not portrayed the Ayo in the way it was portrayed, that is the argument that is going on. That's what the backlash is all about.
Okay, all right, and now, so I would want to. I can have a guest like you here without still asking questions relating to the technicalities. Um, Now, in terms of the cultural themes in this movie, how can we, this movie brought up something that I would call tradition stroke cultural sensitivity in terms of reactions. Now, King of Boys was shot. It was painting politics in a very brutal manner. People loved it. It was accepted. Now, we touched on tradition. Now, this is still part of the way we want to be perceived outside. How would you say on a general note, just like I remember you also made an analogy that pastors, even herbalists are portrayed as bad people in the movies that do money rituals for people. We have fake pastors here and there. All these stuffs, they are still detrimental to some extent in terms of showcasing or selling our own true values. What makes tradition different, and why the whole advocacy that this film crossed some lines?
So, like directors, like when they tell stories, they're just like a preacher. and people believe what they what they watch from this movie sometimes. Like for a long time, before 9/11, I used to believe that there's no way you commit a crime in America. They're going to get caught or they're going to stop it. It can never happen. It's because of what they preach, you know? And then people get scared of Nigerians at the time when we were showcasing that we can disappear, we have something that if you just die and everything. So it is what you preach. So now we have seen Egungun and other stuff, other cultural stuff in movies like this. People there have not been backlashes, but Eyo is sacred. And people be like, oh, is it because they were talking about Lagos? No, King of Boy talked about Lagos. Nobody cares. But this, that being sacred is what is very important, and is what is. And now we learn from it because it's good to like see. It's good when you have a good story. When you have a story to tell, you are like you have seen a picture. You want to paint it like that, but you have to also look at litigations and stuff like that. If you say this about me, and if that is not it, I have the right to go to court and say, no, you can't say that. Um, so we need to. It ends. It now. If I want to talk about Yemoja or anything, if I want to make a good movie about it, I just don't go to by the waterside and start to shoot something. I have to make consultations. I know boundaries. I know um, boundaries and stuff like that. It is important. So it's not like we cannot preach tradition, but just like you said, nothing was wrong with King of Boys. But this one is because Eyo is sacred. That is that is what is very important.
All right, thank you so much for your time. And I have just one more question for you. But before then, I would want to take a commercial break. And after the break, I'm going to come back. Then we'll begin to round off on this beautiful episode of the show. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back, and thank you so much, Baba Oloye. This is how far I'll be able to go. But before we go, we want to say thank you so much out of your busy schedule, all the way from Nova Scotia, and we thank you for your time. We thank you for sharing your wealth of knowledge, and we would just want you to wrap it off with your own, a kind of milestone overview of the movie, your candid advice to future producers, presenters who want to do things of great value like this. And also, as a Nigerian Canadian practitioner, probably you have one or two words for the industry in Canada. I'm going to just let you have the floor while we begin to round off with those final words. Thank you so much.
Well, for that, for the producer of that movie and the cast and crew, I don't see what I need to offer in terms of advice because that was a very beautiful one. We all learned from it. We all learned the possibility of doing things like that. But I think um, sometimes you watch and they say this movie does not represent anybody past or living. Things like that we should always put into consideration, and we should we should be careful what we preach. It's a beautiful work of art, and um, I watched it. I was very happy about it, but it's also technicalities to do your own work. So, well, and for the Canadian film industry, I feel like this is like a virgin land. There's a lot for grab here because people want to hear our stories. Because I sit down with people and talk to them for a while, and they enjoy. They want to hear about Nigeria. They want to hear about culture, and we can make stuff about our culture, and we can tell people who we are, and that would be very good. Yeah. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Babo Louis. Once again, on behalf of the team here at Extreme Media, on behalf of everybody who's made this show possible, we want to say thank you for your time. We really do appreciate your time. Destination point is now. I want to say thanks to everyone who's been a part of the show. My name remains Akim Ogumilade, and the take-home point from the Spotlight this edition is one: do your proper research as filmmakers, as a producer, as a director. Don't dabble into sensitive things like culture or sacred things that has to do with a particular people. Do your research, carry the stakeholders along, and also, like my revered friend rightly said, for the industry as a whole, Nigerian Canadian entertainment industry, it says it's a fertile virgin land. It's all for us to grab. People love our story, and Africa to the world. Thank you so much for being a part of this show. This is how far we'll be able to go. My name remains Akim Ogumiladi, and I'll see you on another beautiful episode of the Spotlight Talk Show. Thanks to our sponsors and partners on this program, and goodbye.
Who decides where we are born, the life we have? Saleko is a jungle. Everyone does what they must to survive.
Power. 1,000,001 people willing to die for a cause they know absolutely nothing about. Let's go!
Magbesu.